The year was 1808. Across the rugged mountains and untamed forests of the American West, a heavy silence ruled the land, one where every rustle in the bushes could mean danger. The shadows of trees stretched long, the air carried a biting chill, and a thin mist floated above the riverbanks. This was a world where man was merely a guest, and nature was the true ruler. In this unforgiving wilderness, a man was walking the edge of fate. His name was John Colter. He was no ordinary hunter. He was among the few who had ventured into these unknown lands with the Lewis and Clark expedition, territories where no European had set foot before. He had witnessed strange lands of steaming earth and boiling springs, places the world would one day know as Yellowstone National Park, though at the time, many dismissed his stories as madness. On that day, he was not alone. With him was his companion, John Potts. The two men moved quietly along the river, searching for game. The water flowed gently, birds called in the distance, and everything seemed normal. Colter knelt near the edge of the river, studying the water carefully, while Potts stood beside him, gripping his rifle. Potts spoke in a low voice. "Colter, I don't like this place. It's too quiet, unnaturally quiet." Colter gave a faint smile and replied, "This silence is what brings us game, Potts. This land wasn't made for the fearful." Potts glanced around uneasily and muttered, "Or maybe this silence means we're the ones being hunted." Colter was about to respond when suddenly something moved in the bushes. And in an instant, everything changed. The silence shattered. Movement flickered behind the trees, once, then again, then everywhere at once. War cries erupted as warriors of the Blackfoot tribe burst from all sides, surrounding them completely. The attack was so sudden, there was no time to think. Potts reacted instantly. He raised his rifle and fired. One warrior fell, but in the next heartbeat, a storm of spears struck him down. He collapsed to the ground, lifeless. As he fell, he shouted with his last breath, "Run, Colter! Don't look back!" Colter saw it all, his heart nearly stopping in his chest, but he had no chance to fight. He was overwhelmed and captured. The warriors gathered around him, studying him like prey. Yet they did not kill him, not immediately. There was a strange calm on their faces and a dangerous amusement in their eyes. They stripped him of his clothes. The cold air cut into his skin. He stood there, completely naked, wounded, surrounded by enemies. Then came a single command, simple, yet filled with death. Run. This was no mercy. It was a game. A deadly game where the only prize was life and the cost of losing was death. Colter didn't hesitate. He turned and ran. At first, his steps were uncertain, then faster, then desperate. Behind him, chaos erupted. Hundreds of feet pounded the ground. War cries filled the air, and the sound of weapons echoed behind him. He was alone, and an entire tribe was hunting him. The ground was merciless. Thorny bushes tore at his skin, sharp rocks cut into his feet, and dry earth burned beneath him. Within moments, his feet were shredded and bleeding. His breath grew ragged, his chest burned, and blood trickled from his nose. But he did not stop, because behind him, death was running. Time seemed to slow. Every second felt like an eternity. All he could hear was his own breath and the thunder of pursuit behind him. Then he looked back. One warrior had broken ahead of the others. Armed with a spear, he was closing in fast. Too fast. The distance between them shrank, step by step. Colter knew this was the moment. Either he would fall, or he would do something no one expected. Suddenly, he stopped. He turned, raising his hands as if surrendering. It was a single moment, but it changed everything. The warrior hesitated, confused, just for a fraction of a second. His momentum broke, his footing slipped, and he fell. That was enough. Colter lunged forward, seized the spear, and drove it with all his strength. A scream cut through the air, then silence. But the others were still coming. Colter dropped the spear and ran again. His body was failing now, his breath collapsing, but something inside him, something primal, refused to let him stop. Ahead, a river. The water rushed fast, icy, unforgiving, but it was his only chance. Without slowing, he plunged into it. The cold hit him like a shock, stealing his breath, but he let the current carry him downstream. After some distance, he swam toward the bank, where piles of mud and sticks formed small shelters, likely made by the North American river otter. He forced himself inside one. The space was tight, barely enough to breathe. Above him, voices echoed. Where did he go? He jumped into the river. Find him. He must be here. Colter remained perfectly still, barely breathing. Hours passed. The freezing water numbed his body. His teeth trembled, his muscles stiffened, but he did not move. At last, the voices faded. Silence returned. When he was certain the danger had passed, he slowly emerged. He was naked, wounded, exhausted, and alone. But his ordeal was far from over. Now he had to travel hundreds of miles to reach safety, and so he walked. Days passed. He wandered through forests, surviving on roots and wild plants, drinking from streams and navigating by the sun. At night, he would collapse wherever he could, sometimes not even sleeping, just closing his eyes long enough to endure. His body grew weaker with each passing day. His wounds swelled. His face became unrecognizable. He no longer looked like a man, but like a ghost. Still, he kept moving. 11 days. For 11 days, he walked with death at his side, until finally, in the distance, he saw it, a settlement. Stumbling forward, he reached it. The people who saw him froze in shock. No one recognized him. Before them stood a broken, naked, skeletal figure, barely alive, yet still standing. One man stepped forward and asked, "Who are you?" With the last of his strength, he whispered, "Colter," and collapsed. He had survived. He had escaped a hunt that no man was meant to survive. And that is why, even today, his run is not remembered as just a story, but as a testament to the limits of human endurance. Some call it luck, others call it courage, but history remembers it as one thing: the story of a man who ran with death behind him and lived to leave it behind.
But this story does not end here, for it is not just the tale of a man, but a testament to the strength of human spirit, the force that refuses to yield even in the face of the impossible. He ran barefoot. He ran soaked in blood. He left death behind him and survived. And in the end, he became immortal in history. Yet the question still remains: if you were in his place, would you have run as far? Or would fear have stopped you right there? This is a truth so brutal it seems like fiction, yet harsher than any story. If you want to witness more real, thrilling, and history-shrouded tales, then be part of the Epic History Vault, because here, the past comes alive.